everybody. We are here at AWS Summit NYC, and we are AWS On Air. We're going to talk about some really cool stuff today. This is going to be a deep dive into AWS DeepRacer multi-user quota management. And I am accompanied by an amazing guest who's going to walk us through everything. I'm Danny Traphagen. I'm a senior SA. I work in the startups group with healthcare and life sciences customers, and my customers are all about ML. Most people are these days. But first, I'm going to turn it over to my co-host over here to introduce himself.
Hi, my name is Nathan Peck, and I'm a senior developer advocate at AWS. I'm also very interested in machine learning, and I love the concept and idea behind DeepRacer. So excited to talk about that, and I hope you're all excited to hear about it. In fact, for those of you watching on Twitch, feel free to drop a question or a comment into the chat, and you will be able to redirect it to someone who works on the team who can answer all of your questions about DeepRacer.
Yeah, so let's turn it over to Joe.
Fantastic. Hey everyone, Joe Fontaine. I'm the Senior Product Marketing Manager for AWS DeepRacer. Thanks Danny and Nathan for having me on today. For anyone who doesn't know, AWS DeepRacer is the fastest way to get rolling with machine learning. It consists of a 1/18th scale RC car, a 3D simulator in the AWS console environment, a global league, and event in a box for our customers.
Whoa, that's a lot to unpack. So, if I'm a developer who's interested in learning ML, would this be something that I should try?
Yeah, absolutely. Anyone, even those with no prior machine learning experience or very little development experience, like basic Python, can really easily get started with DeepRacer and make models in under 90 minutes.
Oh, rock and roll.
So I feel like you missed an opportunity here to have one of them up on stage
Yeah,
with you.
for real, right here.
You know, I usually have it in tow. It's in the shop. So.
It's in the shop. Oh,
Yeah.
clearly your model messed up and you wrecked it.
Well, in the olden days, like what we would do is have some Raspberry Pis and network them together and make a little cluster and all of that. And this is like different than that. How does it differ?
Yeah, absolutely. So it was actually back in reInvent 2017, we did a donkey car rally, which is sort of a precursor to the AWS DeepRacer, similar autonomous driving RC car unit. And the thing that differentiates DeepRacer is that it makes it really easy for the developer to get started because we've pre-packaged the environment for you. So you don't have to recreate or build your own training environment in the console. You don't have to provision all of the hardware and make it all work together. It comes all sort of ready to go for you. There's environments ready to go in the AWS console. You can really focus on training reinforcement learning models and learning that code that can then be applied to a whole variety of.
And so because everything comes out of the box, this is ideal for learning institutions. If I'm a college professor and I'm teaching a college class on machine learning, I can have these devices pre-assembled, deliver them to the students and have them all use an AWS DeepRacer as part of the course material.
Yeah, that's a great point. So actually just last December, we launched the new AWS DeepRacer student service as well, which consists of a global student competition where students can get started for free with no training services. And a number of colleges have participated, creating their own leagues and using their own tracks and cars in the classroom. Yeah.
That's fantastic. So what's one of the challenges with that, and how did that lead up to this multi-user
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm so glad you asked. One of the biggest challenges that our customers have, particularly our enterprise customers, is a way to scale up and train a lot of employees, because until Q3 of 2021, all of our customers had to create an AWS account for every user they wanted to have trained models in console. So
Woof.
That's attaching a credit card to it, establishing, all of the things that go along with creating your AWS account. So when you have initiatives like JP Morgan Chase, who have trained over 3,500 developers using AWS DeepRacer in 20 different cities around the world, it becomes a real challenge to build those up, burn all those accounts, and manage those spends. So last October, we introduced multi-user account management, which was a way for our enterprise customers to easily create sub-accounts. So they can now sponsor accounts for their employees without creating new AWS accounts for each user.
So no fancy chargeback models that we have to implement on our own. How does that all work?
Yeah, great question. So the first version, which I mentioned we announced back in Q3, they could sponsor the sub-account. They could basically start up and stop sponsoring however they wanted. So if they had decided they reached a certain amount of spend and they wanted to cut it off, or they were seeing some overages, they could stop it. That was great, but the number one feedback that we got is our customers wanted to forecast and say, hey, we only want to allow each user to spend up to this amount. And maybe that was because they wanted to be conscious of spending and frugal. Maybe that's because they wanted to be really democratic. So when you have 1,000 users, you want to make sure everyone only gets, say, $30 worth of training.
Interesting.
So you don't have one user using up all of the budget. That's where multi-user
User hoarder.
quota management comes in. Yeah, it allows the event organizer or this admin of that account to dictate what all users are allowed to spend in model training time and storage.
That makes
Sounds pretty egalitarian to me. I don't know. What do you think, Nathan?
Yeah, it makes total sense to
Yeah.
me. Like if I'm running a university class and I know all my students are going to be trying to train their models, I don't want one student who maybe has some like really buggy model who keeps uploading it over and over and over again to like consume all of the resources of the Deep Racer event.
Or like another
and
student.
prevent other people from succeeding.
Yeah, I mean, we all had one of those people in our class that's like, yeah, ML, only for me.
Well, and a lot of times it's not even under nefarious circumstances because Deep Racer is such a great learning tool for novices. It's not difficult for them to not even know that they're doing that or not understand that 100 training hours is a lot for a brand new model, and maybe you don't need that to reach convergence. Let's start small. So by allowing the expert or the admin on the account to establish those limits, they can help prevent those runaway spends for potentially the novice user.
So basically, these are kind of like a guardrail for usage. Is that right?
That's exactly correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool.
So why don't you show us what the Deep Racer console looks like and how all of this works?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've got a brief demo for us here. I will start by saying that in order to use AWS Deep Racer multi-user account management and quotas, you do have to first establish IAM or SSO roles. I'm not going to go through the full path of creating that.
That makes me feel better, actually.
But let's take a look. So starting here, the AWS console, I've navigated to AWS Deep Racer. If we go to our left-hand nav here, you'll see once I've established SSO, you can see the multi-user account management tab and setup. It gives you really easy prereqs here. So I mentioned before, those SSO or IAM, either one. You can either use ones provided by AWS or your own organizations, depending on your IT's policy.
Yep.
Once you've got that set up, you can click right into Enable Multi-User Mode. You're going to want to read the terms and conditions there. Make sure you've appropriately set up the policies. You'll confirm that the users have access to the account.
Double confirm.
Required for the permissions. So then we have, again, a really easy walkthrough here. We've pre-built an email invite that you can copy the invitation and send it to the user, so it explains what they're getting and why they should care about it. And it also allows you to easily invite them to a race. So one of the other features that we have is a community race.
Oh, sweet.
Where you can have a private virtual race for your organization. So now I'll go ahead and send that email.
So can we customize this at the previous step, or is it all just kind of like pre-baked?
You can. That's text body, so there's actually prompts there for you to be able to enter and change your your email invite. So now that invitation's sent, once those users click into that, they've now created their account, and we can see those aliases that they've created.
All right.
Those are going to be AWS player accounts that they've created underneath your primary account, and we can see how much spend they've had. So we can see Borkerd number 001 here has used up 614 megabytes of model storage, only 1 hour of usage. But say we want to adjust it. So for an individual user, we might want to make the maximum 10 hours for training and 5 models so that they're not overusing their storage.
Right.
We can set it there for that one, or we can select them all simultaneously. So when you have 1,000 users, you can do that easily.
So you're just putting the training wheels, ML pun, on the bicycle so that people don't go crazy, go bonkers, all of that.
That's exactly correct.
All right.
Yep. And you can also see we're able to add other columns into this as well. So maybe we want to track the number of models they're using in the max usage. Those are all toggleable as well.
And this is nice because it's a really clean view. It's not like a twisted octopus of random, users, and it's great.
If I understood correctly, in the actions menu, you can actually pause for someone. Like, you see one person in particular just using the system. They've uploaded 900 models.
That's exactly correct. So you can pause for one or you can pause for all. So maybe your event's concluded or you're taking a break from one round to the next and you don't want people to run away in between those rounds. Yeah, it makes it really easy to control bulk actions or actions for a single user to really maximize your frugality.
Max frugality.
I like that.
Yeah.
So tell us more about how this works. Like, as a user, what happens when I actually exceed my quota? Do I start getting error messages back?
Yeah, that's a great question. So you will. You'll be able to log in. You'll still be able to see your model count. And because Deep Racer exists in all those various channels, racing with physical devices, racing virtually, etc., you can still access those models, download them to your local device so that if you wanted to race with a physical car, you'd be able to do so. You'd just be prevented from additional training time until it's been allocated to you.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yep.
So I feel like this is really going to open the door for a lot more folks to participate in creating community events because it's a lot safer now. Now you don't run the risk of running up a huge bill on your AWS linked credit card by running a community event because you have control over exactly how the community is actually going to be using your AWS account for this Deep Racer event.
Yeah, that's exactly correct. These features have been 100% built based on the feedback that we get from our top customers, and it's really about removing those barriers that make it difficult to plan the event or scary to execute the event. You can really enter into a Deep Racer community event, whether it's for your enterprise organization or for universities, etc., with a lot of confidence knowing, okay, here's what I'm comfortable spending, here's how much I want to allocate for each person, and I know we won't exceed that unless I want to.
It maps really nicely to having a budget plan and controlling against like unfettered spend, you know, at a event such as this. So we're at AWS Summit NYC right now. Is there any Deep Racer presence here? What are you folks up to?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we do have a track just about 100 yards behind us over there.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, so as part of the AWS Deep Racer Global League, one of the summit stops is today. Racers at today's summit will have a chance to advance to a regional qualifier where they will vie for a spot in the Global Championship. So there are 50 AWS Deep Racer League competitors globally this year that are all going to be flown to Las Vegas at reInvent
Amazing.
to compete for the championships and a $20,000 cash purse.
Okay, so that's actually what I wanted to find out. What do you win when you win the ultimate mega championship at reInvent?
Yeah, great question.
So 20G?
First prize is 10K because we
okay.
distribute it over the top 6 racers.
Okay.
And again, we really like to crowdsource those ideas from the community and take their feedback. So it used to be winner takes all, first place 20K, and the community said, you know, we'd really like that spread out over the top 5 or 6. And so that's what we've done this year.
I have to tell you, I was not expecting cash prizes. This is like kind of cool.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
It's high stakes. We've got racers over there that have flown in from Houston and from Toronto.
Wow.
Actually, our Toronto racer is consistently one of the top racers, both virtually and in real life. They were just in Milan last month competing.
Got to give it up to Canada,
so,
you know?
So I got to ask, you know, as somebody who hasn't actually participated in a Deep Racer race yet, or a league yet, is it too late to get started? You know, it feels like maybe these people are like way ahead of me. Like,
you got the Toronto ringer there and everything. Like, how am I going to get in on this?
Absolutely not. It's never too late, and there's prizes all along the way to get started. So in our virtual league, there's 2 divisions. There's the Open Division and the Pro Division. Anyone can get started in the Open Division really quickly. Each month, the top 10% of racers in that league advance to the Pro, so you're constantly having new racers come up, and they all win a Pro welcome kit, so you get some cool Deep Racer swag and a bunch of goodies. I did not. I picked this one off.
Come on, Joe.
Yeah. I haven't earned my stripes.
That's right.
And then in the Pro Division, they race each month to advance to reInvent. And you can also race at any of the summits. So racing goes from March to October. So I would say it's absolutely not too late. We've seen lots of first-timers start mid-season and make it all the way to the big show.
Really? Oh, wow.
So you have a chance to get flown out to reInvent and compete for 20G.
Yeah, well, 10G at 10G. The max, right?
That's
at
true.
The max.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I see. Bringing it full circle with capping things.
That's the democratization of ML.
Yes.
I love the idea behind Deep Racer. I'm really curious too, also, because I haven't been following a lot of the leagues, but like how things have progressed over the years. Like you mentioned, different changes, like taking feedback from the players. How have the times also increased? I imagine the laps are getting faster, probably, right?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So we continue to up the ante and make it more difficult so that it's not, you can only get so fast on the same track year over year with time. So. In 2019, we ran all time trial, which meant it was a single car on a single physical track or in the virtual world, running around sort of unfettered. The track was fairly small. It was about 20 meters in length total. The next year, We grew that to about 25 meters on the physical track. We added head-to-head racing in the
Two
virtual
cars
world.
trying not to run into each other.
Not a head-on collision, I would hope.
Yeah, well, lots of
Sometimes.
rubbing
maybe?
is racing, right?
Oh, boy.
Yeah, we added head-to-head and obstacle avoidance, so boxes on the track that the cars will need to avoid and detect. And that was made possible with the AWS Deep Racer Evo device, which adds a LiDAR puck to the top and stereoscopic sensors to the front. So
Whoa.
developers then had to consider more sensor inputs in their code as they develop a model that can navigate around.
Did anybody come up with creative models that would like drive in front of the other car and
like,
block
cut 'em
it
off?
and like try to do like a Mario thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
and it's actually a
geez.
function of the virtual racing. If a car rear ends you, they get a penalty. So you'll see some really aggressive models kind of cut you off into that first turn.
Okay, so I'm part of a kayak paddle team, right? Like we race, and there's somebody on my team who does that to me like all the time. So it seems like you got a model of that going
Same
on
boat
there.
or two boats?
Oh, so separate boats,
Okay,
right? Yeah,
yeah.
so separate boats, and like he always just cuts me off, and then he cackles.
Clearly, they are also a Deep Racer player.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I
They
gotta
won
tell him
that
about
track.
Deep
Sign him
Racer.
up for the league. Yeah,
he for
great.
sure will win. Awesome.
So that's the current league is we have obstacles on the track. We have multiple cars.
Yeah, that's a great question. So at the summits, we're currently still racing in the time trial format on the physical tracks. In the virtual world, our open division racers are all racing in time trial, where our pros are racing in head-to-bot. So there's actually bot cars racing around the track during their qualifiers. And then at the end of each month, our top 16 pros go to a live race on twitchtv.aws.
Yeah.
And
TwitchTV.aws.
and they compete in object avoidance. So it's one of the most difficult formats to race in virtually. So yeah, 6 boxes on the track. We call our Trackmeister Jen in the back moderating right now. She gets to pick where the boxes go every
I'm
month.
sorry, she's called a what?
Trackmeister Jen. Yeah. so-
That
Trackmeister
is
Jen.
an amazing title.
I
love
like that. That is good. Okay, I had one question for you actually. So when we talk about how many sensor inputs are on these things, can you give me an average, or for some of us who really like to talk about like how many events are happening all at once, and give us an idea of payload.
It's actually really, really simple. So
Oh, okay.
there's only 3 sensors maximum. The first would be your single camera on the front. Your second would be your LiDAR, and then you can go to a 2-camera sensor on the front, which enables stereo sensing. So we're not using gyroscopes or altimeters, GPS positioning, any of those really complicated, complex systems. We make it really easy to create a simple model that can reach convergence, mainly using that computer vision on the front, and then for the more advanced models using LiDAR.
Oh, okay. All right.
That sounds awesome. That actually gets me, all this discussion gets me pretty hyped about the idea of maybe getting Deep Racer and trying it out myself. See if I can break into that league.
Yeah, maybe you guys can face off over on the track later today.
Awesome. Well, I hope everyone enjoyed learning about Deep Racer as much as I did. And where do they go to actually sign this up? Just go straight to the console? AWS console? Deep
Great
Racer?
question. So AWSDeepRacerLeague.com, super easy to remember.
Oh, it's
and
their own website. There you go. Okay.
And if you're interested in creating your own enterprise or customer event, you can go to AWSDeepRacerEvents.com.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So that's where I would go if I was a community college trying to set up an event, or like just a local, hobby computer club or something like that.
That's correct. Yeah, anyone
Awesome.
from colleges up through the largest enterprises can create their own event.
And I heard that you can also schedule like a in-person workshop for community events, right?
That's exactly correct. So an AWS pit crew expert, as we call them, part of our technical field community, will come out, present that workshop to you in person. We have options for purchasing your own or renting a track to place in your facility, and you can race in real life against your colleagues.
Okay, last question for you. How do I become a Trackmeister?
You'll have to ask Jen.
Okay.
She won't give up that
Years-
title.
I got
years
it.
and
I got
years
it.
of
Yeah.
training.
Yeah. Literal and figurative training.
Exactly.
Yes. Okay. All right. I get it now.
That's amazing. Well,
Listen, Joe. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone, for watching and joining us in this discussion of Deep Racer. I hope you all go and check out Deep Racer yourself. Get yourself a Deep Racer, join a league, compete to win the grand prize.